Hi, welcome to Jeremy's Tech Channel. Today we're going to check out Debian 11 Bullseye. I'm excited to do this walkthrough today with Debian 11. I've done so many reviews, whether it be on camera or off camera, checking out a lot of distributions in Linux, and so many of them are Ubuntu based or Debian based. And I wanted to check out Debian itself. Why so many distributions decided this is a good place to start. Spoiler alert, it's a very stable system that they have going on. And I have the website pulled up, and there's just some things that really make you want to support the Debian project. I'll quickly walk through some of these, and then we'll get in and I'll show the install process and we'll poke around a little bit. But I'm pretty excited to do this. It's like, Linux was, the Linux kernel and GNU kind of married around 1991. Debian was started roughly around 1993. So 2 years of time, and this project got going and has been around ever since. They show their philosophy here, why we do it and how we do it. And they want to create a free operating system. Not just free as in it doesn't cost you anything, free as in it's freely available to everyone. And see, they say we're not talking about money, instead we're referring to software freedom. And this is where a lot of open source fans, a lot of people who believe in open source software, this is the core of what they really want. They want true freedom with their operating system and with software. I wanted to read this one section because I think it's really cool. These are some ideals that really strike some chords within my own heart, and so I wanted to read them quickly. So if you will oblige, we'll get right into the install process very soon. All right. Maybe you're wondering why so many people choose to spend lots of hours of their own time writing software, carefully packaging and maintaining it, just to give it all away without charging for it. Well, there are plenty of reasons. Here are some of them. Some people simply like to help others, and contributing to a free software project is a great way to accomplish this. Many developers write programs to learn more about computers, different architectures, and programming languages. Some developers continue to say thank you for all the great free software they received from others. Many people in academia create free software to share the results of their research. Companies also help maintaining free software to influence how applications develop or implement new features quickly. Of course, most Debian developers participate because they think it's great fun. This is cool. This is like how, at least for me personally, this is how I think a lot of communities should be focused, I guess we should say. That's just a personal opinion. Take it as such. Then you have this Debian people, who we are and what we do. And they have this little piece over here. Since many people have asked, Debian is pronounced Debian. It's named after the creator of Debian, Ian Murdoch, and his wife, Deborah. Debian. Or Debian. Whatever. It's there. How it all started, August 1993. He started working on a new operating system. We kind of walked through that already. And the last piece I wanted to show is many distributions use Calamares, which is a graphical installer. Debian gives you a choice. Do you want to use a graphical installer? Do you not? And they have their own, which is the D6 graphical installer. Cool. So let's take a look at it. Here it is. So I'm going to walk through this. I've never used this installer. I've never used Debian on its own. So this is going to be a learning experience for me. Learning experience for you, hopefully. Or you can laugh as I make mistakes. Here we go. So far, it's recognizing everything. I do know that Debian, in and of itself, it's not going to have any kind of proprietary drivers or software. Their philosophy is true to even in the installation itself. Here we go. Host name. We will call the host name. Oh, it's got to be lowercase, doesn't it? We go. They want you to set up a domain, and I don't have one set up at my home. So we're going to call this harperhome.edu. One thing I like here is that, I don't know if you notice on the bottom left, you've got screenshots that you can take throughout your installation process. I'm going to take a screenshot, and it shows exactly where it was saved. Thank you for letting me know where you saved something, Debian. Now they're asking full name of new user. This installation process is different than any that I've done so far, but is getting the same information. This is setting up your partition. Let's use my virtual disk. Love this. All right, go ahead and do it. If you continue, the changes listed below will be written to the disk. Otherwise, you will be able to make further changes manually. They want to make sure you are doing what you actually want to do. Thank you. This installer is fascinating to me, and I can't really put my finger on it other than, you read a website and information and philosophy and the people involved, and the very first part of this process, I chose to use a graphical installer, which works for me because I'm a new user, and the fact that they had a choice one way or the other. That's really great. And now I feel like I'm already seeing some of this in the install process. You now have the option of scanning additional media for use by the package manager. Normally these should be done from the same set as the one you booted from. I have nothing else for them to scan. I don't have any additional media. And now we're setting up archive mirrors. Okay. I don't need a proxy at this time for my virtual machine. Now it's configuring apt, which is their package manager. The system may anonymously supply the distribution developers with statistics about the most used packages on the system. This information influences decisions such as which packages should go on the first distribution. If you choose to participate, the automatic submission script will run once every week, sending statistics to the distribution developers. Do I want to participate in giving the developers information to help them, or do I want to keep things private? Do I not want to send that information? And it's set up already with a no, but if I wanted to send that, I could. This is just a virtual machine at this time. I'm just going to be testing some things, but and it says you can change later by running right here, this dpackage-reconfigure popularity-contest. So if you feel like, man, it's really going to help me to help these developers knowing what I use, then you can do that. Right now, I'm going to say no. Now, here's where I'm going to choose my desktop environment and some other core elements here. Do I want GNOME? Do I want KDE Plasma, Cinnamon, Mate, LXDE, LXQT? Of these, I have not used Mate. So I'm going to choose that. Just asking if I want to install the Grub bootloader to my primary drive on my virtual machine. Yes, please. Device for bootloader installation. I'm going to tell it that guy right there. Installation is complete. So it's time to boot into your new system. All right. I'm going to be not only taking a look at the Debian system, but I'm also going to be taking a look at this Mate desktop a little bit because I never used it. So I'm going to be digging around here trying to figure out what's going on. There is definitely I'll call it a classic look to this. And let's just start by looking and seeing. First thing I need to find is a terminal to check a couple things. And I don't know how to find a terminal. There's a terminal. Fetch. I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of things that are not installed default on the system. So I'm going to be learning a lot here. So you get to watch me make a lot of mistakes. All right. Top. Okay, so top is sitting here. 345 megabytes are being used of my memory, and just idling here with this, my CPUs. I have set up on this system 16 gigabytes of RAM and 8 cores. And this is humming along quite nicely. Like that a lot. Very cool. Here's what we can see in the system here. You have, with the Mate desktop, you have a top and bottom bar. Mate was a fork when GNOME went from GNOME 2 to GNOME 3. Some people really liked the way GNOME 2 was, and so they kept that going. They like the top and bottom taskbar, I guess, and some other workflow pieces and menu pieces. And so they wanted to keep it. And that's what this is. So you have this applications line, you've got places line, which is on your folder structure, and you have your system. So you have preferences here, hardware, displays. So now everything's so small. Oh no. Look and feel, appearance. So they have some window, interesting indeed. Indeed. Backdrops here. Very cool. Like that. But I did like that Debian, so I'll just leave that. This is where you adjust your fonts. Very cool. Like it. Okay, system, preferences, hardware, screensaver, Windows. Look for, okay. Administration, Synaptic Package Manager. Just a description what packages are. Okay. And we're gonna make this nice and big. And if I want to search HTOP, there's HTOP. I can mark for installation. I can apply. Now it will download and install HTOP. Great. Cool. So I'll minimize this, go to the terminal, and now let's see if HTOP is installed. There it is. Same information, just wanted to quickly show how they intend for you to install things graphically. Here's where you can add or change your repositories. Now let's search again. Maybe I want to search for something a little more full-featured. Kdenlive. And there's Kdenlive, nonlinear video editor. And here, this lets you know what is going to be installed in order to make Kdenlive work. A lot of libraries, a lot of these pieces, because Kdenlive was built on KDE and the Qt stuff. And now we're going to apply. And we're going to let this do its thing. I would like to see someone who's customized Mate and what it looks like and how they get it to look and feel the way they like for it to look and feel. This is in some ways quite easy to navigate, but at least with what comes out of the box, has a little bit of a dated look to it to my eyes. Nothing wrong with that. We'll call it retro. So now it's finishing installing Kdenlive. It successfully applied the changes. So now if I look for Kdenlive, there it is. And there it is. This is the stable release of Kdenlive 20.12.3. One of the things about Debian that is great for the stability's sake, they do point releases. They release after a certain amount of time, with the exception of some security pieces, some security packages that might need to be released. But what they do is they make sure that it's a stable version before they put it out into the wild, if you will. If you're used to an Arch system or you're used to having the latest and greatest, that's not always going to be the case with Debian. And most people who use Debian, that's not what they want. Actually, they just want to ensure that it works well and it works well with their system. So I wanted to show you that this was the stable version of Kdenlive. Mate is laid out in a way where you have your system tray up here, single bar for your volume, your network connections, adding VPN connections, a little calendar here, and then down on the bottom we have workspaces and we have hide windows button. So if I open up their calculator and I click this, it goes away, it comes back. Okay, very good. Comes with the calculator, guys. It comes with LibreOffice, I saw that. Comes with Firefox. Boom. And these pieces here, here's the Mate system monitor right here. Very cool. Love it. System, preferences, administration, control center. This is very familiar. And these pieces here, power management, keyboard shortcuts, you guys are used to that kind of things. What if I just want, man, I get distracted easy, don't I? Okay, you can set your preferred applications right here. Once again, this is another Mate thing. So as you can see, Debian did not install much of anything up front. They want you to choose what you want on there. You can add whatever you need. This Mate desktop environment, honestly, it's easy to move around. That's a non-issue. Things make sense as far as layout with the Mate desktop environment. But what I expect to see is something that is a groundwork, ground level. Here it is, and that's exactly what Debian is. I think that this is a default desktop environment, and if I would have chosen GNOME, it would have been vanilla version of that, or KDE, or LXQT, whatever it is. They just said, here you go, do what you want to do. They give you the Synaptic Package Manager, which we've taken a look at. They give you an Office suite and GIMP and Firefox. That's about it. We installed a couple of things on it, and it's straightforward. It seems to be, at least in my eyes. This is why Debian and Ubuntu seemed to be built on so much for distributions. You can see that everything is just there. Everything seems to feel stable. Now, I just walked through the installation process, and I'm going to poke around a little more in this virtual machine. I can see why a lot of distributions want to use this as a baseline. My favorite that I've dealt with is Linux Mint Debian Edition 5. You can check out that review a little more in depth than this one. This was just me checking out. I was curious about the installer process. I was curious about Debian base, and I was, generally curious. I can see why a lot of other distributions have sat there and decided this is how we're going to have a baseline for what we are trying to achieve for whatever user we're designing this for, or for ourselves, whoever they're managing and setting up and designing that distribution for. The Mate desktop environment at its base vanilla set is perfectly fine. It's perfectly usable. I could get around just fine with it. If you need the Synaptic Package Manager, it's been a while since I've seen it. Defaulted on a system, it works as advertised, just as it needs to. The other cool thing about using a Debian-based system is if you have a deb package that you want to pull off, you can install it with that Debian package. It's baseline for it. This wasn't going to be the most exciting review in the sense I got excited because I wanted to see why so many people use this as their base. And I can see why. And I also can see why people may not choose to use Debian as it is. It's definitely, just because it's a Linux distribution, it definitely is something that you can configure to look and feel and act the way you want it to. So why not use it as a base? Why not? I've mentioned before that we're potentially, as a family, going to be doing some traveling. I currently am using an Arch system, and it updates all the time. All the time it updates. You need an internet connection to do that. Well, with the Debian system, that's not going to be an issue because it doesn't have that amount of frequent updates sitting there trying to keep your system where it needs to be. These are point release situations, and I think that's attractive to me. I also think it's attractive that it is set as a baseline. So if you want a stable package management situation with apt, and you want to have a baseline vanilla desktop environment or window manager, whatever your jam is, Debian's a great way to go. It really is. One thing I did not check out was the kernel version for Debian 11. It uses the 5.10 LTS kernel, the long-term support kernel. They want stable. And they want to give you free and freedom with their software. And the way that they do it is they just go, here is your basic Mate desktop environment. We are not going to give you a whole bunch of software pre-installed. We want you to choose that. Make it your own. I really like that. That really may appeal to you. You may actually feel a little differently. Maybe you want something that is customized a little more, something that matches your aesthetic or something that matches just what you're trying to achieve. Maybe something like Ubuntu Studio, where it's designed for people who need to work in an environment for sound and video, for example. Things are designed and set up for people who use that. They've got Jack already pre-installed. They've got a lot of the software that you would need, Ardor, Kdenlive, those kinds of things are already pre-baked in and get you going quicker. That may be something that you're looking for. But the Debian team does not make that assumption. They go, here is the baseline. Here is what we want to give you. Now you go and be free. And I like that. I loved reading that web page. Who likes reading websites like that? But it was simple, forward, and really gave a sense of what they are trying to be and achieve. And I liked it. Who knows? Maybe I'll move away from March and maybe I'll move to Debian base here. I don't know. But thanks for joining me today. See you tomorrow.